Hello. Today, I would like to talk about the first marathon that I ever ran. And it was something that was on my head, or in my head. I really wanted to run a marathon. I had seen a lot of programs, that intrigued me about them. And I always thought, that's something I'd like to accomplish before I died. And so I had really no support. I just decided this is something I wanted to do. No one around me was running, and I was completely on my own. And this is going to sound a little weird. I lived in Santa Barbara, California, where there's tons of runners, but the circle that I lived in, there weren't. It just didn't really, my circles didn't, overlap with those circles. So I was on my own. And I really loved playing basketball, and I decided in order to be able to run a marathon, I'm going to have to give up basketball for a few months just so that I can not get injured, so I can train hard and do what I wanted to accomplish the goal. So I set out and I was running. I had a nice little loop and I would do it, and there was really no planning to this. It was all willy-nilly. There was just, there was no forethought. There was no guidelines. No one was telling me anything. Everyone was just like, you're crazy. Go for it. Do it. And the closer and closer that I got to the marathon, with no support from anyone, I started losing, that momentum that I had. And I got a little support from my friends, like, yeah, you're crazy, go for it. But, that's not really kind of the support you really need. Everyone gives you the thumbs up, but that's not going to get you through marathon training. And so the closer I got to the marathon, the harder I found it was to train, especially since I had no guidelines and I didn't know at all what I was doing. So marathon day comes, and I'm running, and I don't know what pace I'm running. This is just me with the crowd. It was exciting. It was the LA Marathon, and at the start they got that song by Randy Newman, "I Love LA," and it's just blaring, and there's thousands and thousands of people around you. I was pumped, but I stayed in the back because I knew I wasn't, in any sort of speed shape to be running up with those fast folks. So I found someone that seemed like their pace was my pace, and I followed them for 17 miles. And I gave out. My body gave out. I had to walk. There was just no hope. So I had, essentially 9 more miles to go. And I felt like shit. There was, I had undertrained. I thought I knew what I was doing. I wasn't, I sort of thought I knew what I was doing, and I realized I way undertrained. And so I was walking, and I hooked up with this guy. I don't know who he was, but he was Mr. Miserable right next to me, and we were walking and talking. And then we said, okay, when we get, within 2 miles, mile 24, we're going to run the last 2 miles. And before we even got to mile 24, we were literally on the ground stretching and trying to get our legs to uncramp because they were in such pain. And when mile 24 came around, I was just like, okay, and it wasn't happening. It just wasn't happening. So I go, okay, maybe mile 25. And when I got to mile 25, I just gritted it and I ran. And I just said, you know what, screw it. It's, 1 mile and 385 yards. I can do this. So I just did it. And it hurt. It hurt. But I finished I crossed the finish line running. And I did not meet my goal. My goal had nothing to do with time. My goal was, I will not walk. And I walked. And I wasn't ashamed, but I was saddened that I didn't meet my goal. And so that's one of the pitfalls you have to worry about when you train for a marathon is you know, not training willy-nilly. There needs to be a plan, and they're out there. You can find them, and I wish I would have had a plan, but I didn't. So that's pretty much my first marathon story. And there's 2 more parts to this story, and I'm gonna, get to those in a little bit. I'll see you in the next video.